Welcome back to episode 2 of HHS Sports Podcast. Today we have another action-packed episode that will culminate in an interview with student-athlete Brayden Jochim.
Let's jump right into the sports roundup this week, starting again with our softball team. Softball went 2-0 this week. They started the week off strong away at Medway, where they won 12-4, and they continued their winning ways later on in the week at home, where they beat Bellingham 5-1. The girls' dominant week culminated in them rising to number 2 in the power rankings.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Emerson and I were able to make it to a softball game on Wednesday. Emerson, could you give us any insight to what you saw out there?
Yeah, the Hillers bats were cold to start the day. Only one hit through the first 3 innings.
That's rough.
But that hit did drive in one early run. They began to come alive in the 4th and got many hits and 2 runs. However, what impressed me the most was their base running. I saw a couple of stolen bases coming off wild pitches, and they were just ready to jump the gun and get those steals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, their base running was incredible all game. You know, the runners, the base coaches were dialed, ready to pounce on any mistake Bellingham made. I was most impressed with their pitching, and especially Addie Walls. She was not only dialed on the mound, she threw a complete 7, and Gavin, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think she had a no-hitter. The only hit I saw came off an error.
I mean, yeah, if it was from an error, it doesn't count as a hit, so sounds like a no-hitter
So
to me.
a no-hitter, and tack on, I think she had probably double-digit, maybe 10 strikeouts. You think that's right, Emerson?
Yeah. She also had 2 hits for 2 RBIs. One of those a solo homer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think this team's going to go pretty far in the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah. With those senior leaders, Holly Paharic and a few others, they have a good leadership on them.
I mean, hopefully I can make it out to a game in the future. I'm really excited about the prospect of a nice, deep playoff run for this team. It feels like we haven't had one this year so far for any of our sports teams. Yeah. So hopefully they can make it happen.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself. This team definitely could make a deep run. The boys tennis team has a nice chance at a nice run. They I don't know if they're still undefeated, but definitely a good record for them.
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah, top of the power rankings for them. So the spring could be the time for a good playoff run. All right, moving on to boys baseball. They started off the week strong with a big win over Bellingham, 6-3 on Wednesday. Then they had back-to-back games this week where they played Holliston Thursday under the lights. This game was the annual ALS night, so they got donations to support a good cause in ALS. Unfortunately, they lost to a competitive Holliston team 3-0. The Hillers ended the week 9-5 on the year. Pretty good. Next week, they take on Ashland on Monday and Medway on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, they play Westwood, which is an important game if the Hillers want to go after that TVL large title again this year. They won it last year, so they're trying to repeat again.
Gavin, when does the Pedroli tournament start?
That'll be next weekend, actually.
Something to look forward to if you're a baseball fan in Hopkinton.
Yeah, Hillers, they did well last year or 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago where we won that in against 2 really good Division I teams, actually.
Yeah,
Franklin, who might have ended up being the state champs. I think they made it to Final Four. They made it pretty deep in the D1 playoffs, I remember.
It was Dylan Ruff with the walk-off or something.
Yeah.
Right?
And Nick Petroli with a grand slam that game.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good chance to, get the power rankings higher and get them into a better seed for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now on to girls golf. They start off the week with a tough loss to Bishop Feehan, 4-2, but they were able to bounce back strong with 2 back-to-back wins on Tuesday and Wednesday. They beat Neshoba on Tuesday 18-12 and Wachusett on Wednesday 31-17. The girls play on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. Away versus Quabbin and Auburn, but home on Tuesday against Burncoat.
It's got to be a pretty big win against Wachusett. I know their girls golf team won a state championship last year, so I assume they're good again this year.
Yeah, I got to learn more about these girls' golf scores because I'm kind of confused how one match can go 4-2 and then the other 31-17. So that's something to look into for sure next time.
Yeah, I know for boys golf it was always in the 200s. So it's definitely a different scoring system than us.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to the boys lacrosse team. They had 1 win and 2 losses on the week. They started off on Saturday with a tough loss against Algonquin. And then they lost again on Wednesday against an incredibly talented Medfield squad by a score of 17-3. They were able to bounce back the next day and, quite frankly, dismantled Bellingham. That win helped propel the boys up 3 spots to the 26th spot in the power rankings. They have a tough week coming up with 3 games against Ashland, Holliston, and Westwood, and only Westwood is home, but that will be on Friday, and it's a pretty big game for their TVL large split hopes.
Yeah, and definitely got to win at least 2 out of 3 of these next games to stay in the top 32, I would say.
Yeah.
I know Westwood's pretty good in all sports, so that'll be a big game.
I know Medfield's also really talented in lacrosse.
So
I know they've had multiple D1 commits in the past few years and are always at the top of the power rankings.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to girls lacrosse, they had a nice undefeated week. They started off strong on Saturday, winning a tight one away at Algonquin. Pretty impressive. They won 14-12. They played again on Thursday against Bellingham, and they destroyed them. 17-3 was the final score. The girls are only up 1 spot in the power rankings from 18th to 17th. They have a tough week coming up for them next week. They'll be home on Monday against Holliston, and then travel to Ashland on Wednesday, and then play Westwood on Friday, just like the boys. That'll be a good game.
Couple of honestly big games coming up because the difference between 16th and 17th might sound small, but that's a home game versus an away game.
Yeah, and all these teams, they're back playing the TVL large teams again for the second time. So this is a championship time right now. So
these are the games that win it for you.
Yeah.
They really mean a lot in getting that TVL title.
Yes.
Yep.
Now on to track. Both boys and girls track meets were canceled this week due to rain. The meet has been postponed to Tuesday, the 13th, at home, 4:30.
Nice.
Try and make it out to that one. I've got a bunch of people I know on that team, and it should be fun as well. The track team's always been good. See some guys run pretty fast.
Yeah.
Ian Walden?
Yep. Now boys volleyball. They started off the week with 2 tough L's against Millis and Westwood, but they ended the week strong, just like last week, with a solid win against Durfee. Never heard of Durfee. The final,
Don't know where that is.
Yep. The final score ended up being 3-1. They have 3 home games this week: Monday versus Attleboro, Wednesday versus Nipmunk, and Friday versus Norton. The boys unfortunately fell to 50th in the power rankings.
Ooh, does not look good. Their playoff chances this season. So if you want to catch one of their games, next week will be the week to do it. I'll try to make it out to one of those. So.
I mean, I haven't been to one yet, but everyone else who I know who has been there told me they're fun.
Yeah. One thing about this team to remember is they don't have a lot of seniors on the team. It's a pretty young team, and it's a first-year program. So they're
new sport.
They'll gain a lot of experience and have a lot of returners next year. Maybe some new foreign exchange students and things like that. Yeah. People bringing some talent over from overseas. So
you're losing a lot of size though. You got Felix and Ricky, the 2 foreign exchange students who are both really tall. Hopefully, you get some tall guys again next year.
Yep. Moving on to our awesome boys tennis team, they kept up their winning ways this week. They only had 1 match because of the rain, but they beat Holliston 4-1 to keep their unbeaten season alive. That win was enough to boost them up to the 2nd spot in the power rankings, as Duxbury is only 1 ahead of them. A busy week coming up for the boys. 3 matches. They start off away at Ashland and then come back home for matches against Westwood on Wednesday and Algonquin on Friday. That should be a good game. I know that whole kind of Western Mass area, Algonquin and Westboro, are pretty good at tennis.
Yeah. So 2nd in the power rankings. Looks like they're in a good position to make a run in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Definitely be paying attention to them.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised that this is the first game, or I guess this plus the track meet, but we're in a lot of cancellations this week, even though it honestly rained every day. I was expecting more.
They try to cancel most of the JV games and all that, but the varsity they got to fight through.
Probably playing on the turf helps with a lot of.
Yeah, you don't lose baseball or softball games because of that too.
Games,
yeah,
that's good.
Now on to girls tennis. The girls tennis team went 1-1 on the week. The win came against Westwood on Sunday. They won 3-2. That win pushed them up to 21st in the power rankings. A busy week is coming up for the girls. They will play 4 matches. They will play at home Monday and Tuesday against Ashland and Medway. Then they travel to Westwood and Algonquin on Wednesday and Friday.
They've got a bunch of tough matches this week, but honestly, the hardest part might be staying energetic with 4 games, 1 rest day in the middle of it.
Action-packed week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed about the spring season. It's kind of shorter, than some of the other seasons. So
I feel like the fall season honestly drags on for a while, but the spring one they push them in there.
Same with the winter season. You get 2 vacations in your season, so
that's true.
It definitely goes.
Especially
longer.
with all the rain, there's always a lot of makeups that make the
these are
week
definitely some
extra
makeups,
busy.
yeah. And we got to remember 21st in the power rankings. The girls tennis is the only team in D1.
Oh.
So that's a pretty solid score for a small D1 school. Yeah. Hopefully they can push up those 5 spots and get a home match to start off the playoffs. Now we're going to look at some of the top plays from the Hillers on HCAM this week. Unfortunately, I think we only have baseball, softball, and boys volleyball. No lacrosse games were on HCAM this week.
First one we're going to be looking at is this hit from Nick Pedroli against Bellingham.
Looks like starting off strong here in the first inning.
Early on.
Oh, it looks high, but
Deep
definitely
over the
back.
center fielder's head.
Oh my God! The thing about this Hopkinen field is it's so large. It's hard to hit home runs out of the park. But when you hit a hit like that, Nick rounding
Looks
the
like he
bases,
finds his way to third.
Yeah, bro.
Driving in a run as well.
hyping up his team right there.
That's a
in
good
the first
hit.
inning. That's how you get the momentum going.
Yep. Bit unfortunate if you're a Bellingham fan there, Bobbled the ball there in the outfield.
Yeah.
Lost his hat too.
Looks
but
like he was on third anyway, though.
yeah, I think he was definitely going to make it to third. I thought he had a chance at home, but
All right,
yeah,
nice.
good play from Nick. We're going to stay in the baseball realm for this next clip. It's actually who we interviewed last week, Mitch Stimulus, up to the plate. Let's see what he can do.
Let's see what we can do.
In a one-run game versus Bellingham, down 3-2.
Oh,
That's a good hit. That's a good hit. Got the center of the
Drives one
barrel.
in the gap between right and center.
Oh, another
Again,
bobble.
again bobbles it.
But it's fine. Take advantage
scores.
of those errors.
Yeah.
Who's that running in there? Nice slide, 17 right there. Mitch with a nice double.
Let's double the score run. That'll tie up the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a momentum.
And
play.
now you got Mitch in scoring position. I don't know how many outs it is, but Nick's coming up to bat again. This could be a big swing.
That's how you get the momentum going
Yeah, for sure.
after being down.
So now we got Addie Walls stepping up to the plate, tied 0-0 in the third. She's gonna have a nice hit here. Let's watch it.
I believe
Softball versus Bellingham.
they don't have any hits yet in this game.
Yep.
That's great contact.
Oh, right in the gap there.
Found the spot right in front of the outfielder.
Able to drive the runner on third
Drives it,
in.
yeah.
That's a textbook RBI.
Take the lead early. That's what you want to see.
I think she must have gotten fed up with her other players. She was doing everything on the mound, and no one could help her on the offensive side, so she had to
do
take
it
it into her own
herself,
hands. Yeah, that's my working
Fine,
theory.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Addie Wells back up to bat again in the 5th inning. Hillers are now up by 3. See what she does.
Addie Walls, Hopkinton's pitcher.
Oh, boom!
Got all
It's like
that
a little
again.
curveball or something.
Takes
in
it
there.
deep.
Oh my God, that's
Right
out of
over,
there.
right over.
That's out of there. Look at
What
the
a game for
players
her.
watching it go
That's the
over.
way to
Getting it done on the mound and
Once
at
again,
the
the
plate.
supportive team. We watched
Yeah.
this last week.
This is a team with some great
Consistently supportive.
camaraderie.
Yeah, like to see. It looks like some
Oh,
more
really?
support. You gotta get the
Really
student
kill the
section out of these
confidence.
games. This is a
Yeah, I did notice that.
Bellingham
It was
there.
pretty silent
It's a
out
good
at this game.
It's a good game. Yeah, when I was there, there wasn't that many students there, so I'll try to rally some of my friends and stuff to
Yeah.
go.
Go watch their games next week. They're, again, a great team. It was an exciting game. Addie Wells had a legacy game as well.
Let's watch this this highlight from boys volleyball against Millis. I believe they lost this game in a close matchup.
Yeah, this was one of the ones they lost. Yep.
Yeah, first set here. Let's watch.
Ryan, Michael, short set.
Oh, nice spike there. A lot of power.
What a spike! Nice use of the rules there, but he kind of bent the rules, but
Yeah, it looked like he went a bit over. It also looked like he
Paul
scooped
did a
it a
little
bit.
bit, yeah.
but the ref.
But
referee
you know what? It
didn't
was
do
still a
anything.
nice spike. Nice spike.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They don't
you
ask
get
you
those
how.
points. Yeah.
Yeah, gather step in that. Yeah. Celtics, nice win today.
Think they're gonna end up getting it done in that series?
Yeah, I think they're gonna win again, and then I think they're gonna close it out at home and then away. I think they
Yeah,
win.
Celtics
they win
in
both games.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celtics in 6. I think so. We need Porzingis to be fully healthy. So
Honestly, out of these, this was 5 plays. I want to say my favorite one had to be that spike. There was a nice homer from Addie Wells, but that spike with authority, right down, win the point, easy.
Yeah. Especially for a program that hasn't been here too
Yep.
long.
Yeah.
my favorite actually has to be the Zach Stacy hit, just to propel his team to the lead. Zach Stacy works really hard. I know he had some trouble last year getting some PT, but he's proved himself this year and is a vital player to their team. So
Nice to see him getting out there.
I was a big fan of that Addie Wallace single to start.
Yeah.
and the home run.
I know the home run was good, but in a tied 0-0 game where they're being held hitless, runner on third, she had to get it done herself.
Yeah.
being able to drive in that road.
Not often you see tied 0-0 after like 3 innings. That's pretty impressive.
Especially you looked at those other scores of that softball team. They normally blow teams down. A Bellingham team that, honestly, I would have assumed wasn't great, just based off what I know about Bellingham, holding them to 0-0 still.
I mean, you saw the score 2 innings later. It was 4 or 5 nothing. That really must have got the
once
momentum
it rains,
going
it pours,
for them.
Right.
So, thanks for listening to our top 5 plays of the week. Now, we're going to go on to a quick interview with boys varsity lacrosse star Brayden Jochim.
Now joining us in the studio, we're actually at his house, is varsity boys lacrosse star Brayden Jochim. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
To start, let's focus on the lacrosse team. You had a tough start to this week, right? 2 tough losses to Algonquin and Medfield. And as a senior, you're obviously the leader on the team. How were you able to get the young guys, get the whole team ready to, bounce back the day after a tough loss against Bellingham?
Well, we really just wanted to focus on what we did good in those games, especially the Medfield game. We worked a lot on our defense, especially our zone. In the Algonquin game, we worked a lot on our time of possession. We got much better at that, but mainly just focusing on the positives from those games, tweaking the little negatives that we had, and just understanding the small mistakes that we could have fixed to make those games closer.
Is that like a team mantra you have? Like you focus on the positives even after maybe a tough loss or a big win?
Yes, it's always about building off the positives. But another big thing is just we've been trying to build more of a team chemistry. We've never had a problem with effort throughout the entire season. Everybody puts everything that they have into the team. But it's more about where their head is placed.
So you've been on the team 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yeah, I've been a varsity starter since freshman year.
Do you have a favorite memory on the team?
My favorite memory would definitely have to be beating Westwood my junior year. First time beating Westwood, and it was at their home stadium. It was a very close game, very emotional. It was a really fun bus ride home.
Were you guys the underdogs going into that?
Yes, we were. As much as I would like to think that we had our heads high and we had plans, the rest of the TVL didn't see it that way.
Do you have a favorite personal memory, like a big goal you might have scored, or a huge defensive play that you made throughout your career?
My favorite personal memory was Bellingham last year. I hit a check on a kid, and the kid's stick went flying through the air, easily 3 or 4 feet in the air. Looked like a helicopter.
Do you have any advice you would give to a 8th grader getting ready for a varsity sport like lacrosse?
It's all about mentality, especially just knowing your system. Whether you're any sport that you're in, every coach has a coaching style. They have a playing style. Your team has a playing style, and just figuring out that type of style and your fit in the team. Whether it's helping a guy out with tape or setting up the field for a lacrosse game, because you're a younger guy and you want to respect the upperclassmen. Or if you're a starting freshman and putting all your effort out there to really make an impact for the team.
I really like what you said there. When my junior year, when I was on the soccer team, the coaches really focused on everyone has a role out there. Even if you're not on the field, you got to be on the bench, cheering everybody on. I really like that response. Once this lacrosse season ends, are you continuing to play in college, or is that it for you?
I'm actually planning to play club lacrosse at Purdue.
Okay. What will you miss the most about just a varsity sport then?
That's a tough one. I'd probably have to go with just the planned practices every single day. I know with club teams in college, it's not as planned. It's kind of just here and there, but having a planned schedule, it's you're going to see your boys every day.
Yeah, that's nice.
You have any goals or big games for the rest of the season that you're looking forward to?
Our next Westwood game at home is going to be a big game, and we have to win that one to achieve our goal of splitting TVL large with Westwood. Hopkinton hasn't done it since I believe 2002. It was a long time ago. I don't know if I'm mixing up with other sport. I was looking at it during my AP exams.
A lot of extra time there.
Yeah, all the banners on the wall.
Yeah. Were you close any other year? Or is this the first year you've had like a chance?
In all the years prior, we've had Medfield in the TVL large, and they've pretty much just stomped us in both games that we played them every year. But this year they actually moved out of TVL large to TVL small, so our main competition was Westwood.
Do you feel like more pressure on these games now in the TVL large? You know, that now that you're really playing for something.
Yeah, even the games against Hollister and Ashland, if we come out flat-footed, if we don't come out with all our energy and we misstep and we lose one of those games, it's all done. Especially if we have playoff hopes, because we have to stay above 500 and we have to win those games.
Every little thing matters, right?
You guys have a lot of younger talent on the team, right?
Yeah, we do.
Do you have like any advice or anything you would like to say to those kids?
Yeah, I know our junior class is light, but we do have some leaders in that class. Some new guys learning some new positions, but they're really stepping into to what they want to do and taking all the knowledge they have. Big sophomore class. I know I'm the only returning defender for the team, so every other defender is every other close defender is a sophomore this year. And a lot of them are seeing more rotation than just starting spots that are permanent. And they're kind of going with that. They're understanding that, hey, I can do this and he can do that. And it's better to have somebody fresh out there than somebody that's dead.
How has that like affected your season? You know, has it been hard to keep those guys down for every practice, every game, or if they just like really bought in?
They've all really bought in. I remember even the first 3 days of tryouts and the early practices, I was just constantly getting bombarded with questions from Connor Merkel and Thano and Theo Muzzy, Ruby and Devin. But it was, hey, what do I do here? What do I do this? If we're running this defense, do I do this? Always just trying to improve their games, and I respect that.
Is there like one, younger kid, underclassman, whatever, who's really stepped up this year?
I think a big one this year has been Theo Muzzy. Last year he got pulled up to the varsity team as a filler spot towards the end of the season after the JV season was over. He didn't get to see not much, if not any, playing time. But he definitely took in those mental reps during everything. Watching guys like Prov and Wyatt last year, and even Pick and Carney. But this year he's really stepped into that role and has become a big anchor for our defense, especially with just his lacrosse IQ being vocal on the field.
If you could change one rule about lacrosse, what would it be?
I would tweak the holding rule. I know, especially when seeing Wyatt throw his shovels last year, and they were the cleanest checks. You'd see the ball come out, sticks fly, but he would just hook them and hold them just a little bit too long, and those flags would come out, and that'd be a 30-second technical. No matter how clean the check was, most of the time they did get called, just for the littlest things. Because if the guy fell over and he was seen just pulling away from it, they would call that hold. I would give it a little bit more leniency, just because it's a nice check and it's really fun to see. But with that risk of getting a penalty for it, it's kind of a risk itself.
You have Nate Burns, who's going to play in college next year in goal, right?
Yes.
So for the soccer team, I was a defender. We had Owen Silva, who was playing goal, and I felt like every time they took a shot, I wasn't even worried. I was like, Silva would just get that. Do you have like a similar feeling? Like, is it a weight off your back because you have such a talented goalie there?
Yeah, I mean, especially as a defender, if somebody scores on you while you're defending them, it definitely hits as like that was my responsibility. But when you have Burns behind you, it's just like, all right, it's how bad of a shot can I make this guy take? Because I know Burns is going to eat it up. Even if he gets by me, I know we have a defense behind me that'll help. And when he gets on the crease, I've seen Burns make some incredible saves. Whether that's kicking his foot out 3 feet to the right while he's doing the splits to kick one out, it's insane what he does.